Uganda.
Welcome to Newsnight, Tom. Let's quickly look at, first of all, I don't envy your job because everyone in this country looks up to you to protect our environment. But everyone who looks up to you is part of the process of degrading this environment. But that's the list of my worries right now, because I want to ask you, as the man mandated to protect our environments, you're clearly not doing such a good job. Because if you look around Kampala, let's begin, because most people like to let the conversation stick around just the center or central Kampala. If we look at what's happening in Kampala, with the wetlands we have, I'll take you to Chinawataka as the nearest example we have here. You have failed, literally, to enforce your law, your mandate, and also the law.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I think you are right to some extent, but I think also we have to look at it in context of what are the issues at hand and how environment is managed. You know, the function of environmental management gives NEMA the overarching role, but there are operatives, the agencies of government which are supposed to do other functional roles, which they do. Kampala is, if you talk about Kampala, we have a very big challenging problem of population coming into the city. Whose settlement in the city is not planned by everybody. People just come and they have to be here because Kampala provides opportunities. And most times people slide into those other areas. But there are very many activities also which take place in wetlands which we have also which are permitted. And I think you talked about Chinawataka. If you go now there, Chinawataka, definitely a lot of activities have been stopped there. We have stopped many activities that are there, so we have evicted many people. But still, the settlements that take place at midnight, at 3 a.m. are there. I don't deny that. And this constitutes a larger part of the population that comes in there. And these are Ugandans. And if we apply the maximum force of evicting them, most times you find, if you go down there, the people who are affected are really, they need help. So there's been a tendency to see how can we effectively support that group first to settle somewhere. Before
You've been unfair sometimes in your operations. And when you mention the fact that some of the people in the wetlands are the low economy earners, or some of the most poor, the most poor people in this country, I will quickly take you to an example of Nyakana, where NEMA quickly took action on Nyakana and his building in the wetland around Chitintale, but has been slower in effecting the same kind of treatment meted out on Nyakana on other developers who, like you said, begin their structures at midnight or ferry and dump maram and fill the wetlands at night and compact the soil even before it's dawn.
Yeah, the case of Nyakana, it was settled only last year, I think, in court. It took a while to settle it in court. So it's not something that was done abruptly. I mean, has been settled several years ago. I think we can't compare the case of Nyakana, because when we went to court, when Nyakana took NEMA to court, it brought in another process in.
Yes.
And that process was the legal aspect, because it was contesting. So what goes through that process?
Which is fine. But
That's
in your operation, when you took up the operation, many actually cite that this probably was personal, because there's several other developers in that area, and including other wetlands that have been across in this country, not just Kampala, where you have actually been slow to act, even when called upon by residents in those communities.
No, we're not slow to act. Maybe the way we act is the way probably not the way the public doesn't expect us to act. But we do act, and very much so we act, and that's why you see the remaining part of the wetlands, which is intact. If you go down to Bugolobi, down there, a large part of the wetlands has remained intact. Even those people who are settled there, we have worked with them and have told them a process that they are going to get out, because we have to go through natural justice to get them there. Once they are settled, we can't just go immediately. But where there is a process that has been initiated, which is going to be a humane process, and people will live.
Very quickly, we have set targets on achieving a middle income status.
Yep.
We will not be able to achieve this status. The National Planning Authority has said we must put certain things in place. One of the key issues that we must put in place is protect our environment and gazette the key areas, wetland areas that must be protected. But we are not doing enough. No. And we may not actually achieve that status if we actually do not.
No, what we must do is to utilize our environment sustainably, not to protect it or not to use it. We have to use it sustainably. And all the efforts that were put in place, and the mitigations and the interventions that were put in place are towards sustainable utilization of our resources.
Do you have the capacity to do that?
We have the capacity. The government has the capacity. NEMA is one institution, but we operate as one government. We have the capacity, and we are striving to do that and to achieve that the sustainable development concept, and which is acceptable by society. It's a continuous process. It's not a one-off. And I must say that when you are managing environment, you are managing people. It's not like, for instance, the industries are very well regulated. But when it comes to people, you don't apply the same method of that today you must live, and we have a pragmatic approach. But sustainable utilization of the natural resources is the concept that we're using, so that we can utilize those resources to drive this transformation.
My time is fast spent, but I wanted to ask, there's this huge elephant called the oil sector, and we will be, in a very short while, begin oil production on a commercial level.
Yep.
Have you, as the authority, developed capacity to actually supervise and also ensure that our environment is not degraded in areas where this production will be happening, or even the oil drilling for the new companies that have been given licenses to operate in certain areas begins? Have you built the capacity for that?
We have built enough capacity for regulating all the investments that are going to take place in oil and Alberta and Graben. That capacity actually has been accumulated, built not only in NEMA, but also in other government institutions. And you've seen the process that has taken place right now. We've had a control regulated system. Right now, we're even much better, because the lull in the issuance of these production licenses gave us time to build more capacity, license more companies to handle waste, which are now operating. And actually, for oil and gas activities in Alberta and Graben, I'm more than sure that we have capacity.
You've been criticized by several civil society organizations on that transportation of the the oil for dumping in some places, whether the transportation process is not proper. You have droppings along the way. You have extraction of gas, in places where the oil extraction or drilling is happening. How much will that affect your your processes in trying to mitigate the effects of environment degradation in those areas where the drilling is happening now?
I think we have been accused unfairly, if you look at what we've done. If you look at the controls that were put, for instance, the drilling rigs that are operating within the national parks, we have put conditions for operations. For instance, at night, we don't allow them to drill at night. They switch off lights. We don't allow vehicles to pass there, and so forth. And then also transportation. All the vehicles that transport waste from the drilling sites to the treatment sites are specifically designed vehicles and marked as others. Yes, sometimes there's an accident, it's reported, but it is contained. And so far now, we've not had any incident which is definitely hazardous or dangerous to the environment that has taken place there.
Tom Okrut, we surely will invite you back
to
discuss this very extensively. Speaking to Tom Okrut, the Executive Director of the National Environment Management Authority, on Newsnight.